Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of the Catholic Podcast. This is another one of these solo Germ episodes where I am taking a microphone by myself and just speaking to you about a particular topic. Today, however, thankfully, no heavy stuff, no politics, nothing like that. What I wanted to do today is I wanted to share with you guys some experiences in my life. I'm starting this new series called Germories because first of all, I can't think of a clever nickname to save my life, but because I wanted to share some episodes from my life that have taught me a lot about what it means to be a faithful Catholic, in a sense, as well as some fun times and good things that I remember about my life. And so, let's just jump right into it, not waste any more of your time here. Today's episode, the first one in this new series, is going to focus on the 10-day experience that I had during my fall Rome 2018 semester, because this time for me was one of the most enlightening in a long time. It's not Rome in general was a fantastic experience. Living in Rome, traveling around and from Greece to other places, it taught me so much about the world and helped me see things in a much wider, much more, general light than maybe I had before, and to learn a lot about my faith in general as well. Because of course, as I go to a Catholic school, a lot of the topics and things that we cover have to do with faith and its relationship to logic, to the mind. And so what we would do is we would visit a lot of churches and things in my Rome semester. A lot of our class trips would be to basilicas, cathedrals, famous locations like Assisi, where saints walked and lived for the durations of their lives. And that is probably the first big thing, right? Is just that being there and walking in the places where these people walked it struck me a lot. It made me much more aware that all of these stories that I had read were real. These were real people, and they did these things. Sometimes we can run the risk when we're hearing stories of the saints to forget that these people are real people that have lived and have struggled just like us. And I mean, for me, that was just one of the biggest things, is able to see those places and learn more about my faith as a whole was just incredible. But let's start from the Let's start from the top here, shall we? For anybody that does not go to the University of Dallas, has never experienced the Rome semester, it's a study abroad program that my university puts on where they take about 90 to 100 kids, they stick them on a campus for the entire semester in Rome. And then there's a bunch of extra bells and whistles, but one of the most important, I think, for any student is the 10-day is actually the term that we use to describe it, because it is what it is. It's 10 days. 10 days that campus is closed, 10 days that we cannot be on campus, 10 days that we are encouraged to go out and travel and learn more and enjoy just the continent of Europe. There's no teachers, no professors, no class-guided trips. This is all self-planned. Anything that you want to experience, anywhere you want to go, you can do it. Just go ahead and book the flights. So my 10-day would fall in the midweek of October. It would begin on, October 11th, I believe would have been the last day of classes, and ended October 21st. The reason I know that is because October 22nd is my birthday, and my birthday was the day after 10-day ended. It's like the Monday after the Sunday we got back. So one of the big things that I knew going into Rome was that Saint Oscar Romero, the Archbishop of San Salvador and El Salvador, was going to be canonized at some point during the fall. I came to find out that it would be October 14th would be the day that his canonization would take place alongside St. Paul VI and a couple of other saints who, forgive me, I don't remember their names because those are the two big ones. And I really wanted to go. St. Oscar Romero, to my parents especially, was just, before he was ever canonized, was already a saint. For the people of El Salvador, he was their saint. And it was the greatest sorrow for the country when he was martyred for speaking out against injustices during that civil war in the 1980s or 1970s. Forgive me, I am so not clear on the history. But yeah, he was shot in the heart while he was celebrating Mass as he was going to go celebrate the Eucharist. Walking away from the pulpit toward the altar, he was shot from outside the church through the door, which happened to be open at the time, because El Salvador as a country is usually just never it is never cold, so it's usually very hot. And that's, in the air conditioning, as it is a very poor country, we open the doors to kind of let some cool air in to any kind of building. And unfortunately for Saint Oscar Romero, that is how the assassin killed him, shooting through that open door. So growing up, I heard so many stories, because my parents actually lived during that time, during the Civil War in El Salvador. Heard a lot of his preaching, witnessed his martyrdom. Not themselves personally, they weren't actually there in the building, but they, as citizens of El Salvador, they witnessed his martyrdom and his funeral, and just the legacy that he left behind is something that I think is great on its own. Just if you look at his story and you look at it as just a saintly story, you say his man was incredible. But to the people of El Salvador, he was like just the most saintly person. Like before, I remember going back when I was in high school, well before he was canonized. I think he was about to be beatified, visiting my family in El Salvador, and I walked around, and almost every church had a picture of him. Every school building had a mural painted of him. It was just, I had never seen anything like it myself, and it was frankly just as story as my mom and dad admired him so much, and they made sure that I knew about his legacy growing up and learned about it. So yeah, besides the point, just wanted to give a little bit of information on Saint Oscar Romero, but and why it was so important for me personally to attend his canonization. I mean, in lieu of my parents being there, I was kind of their representative. They had lived through his death, and I would be seeing his kind of, not entrance into heaven, of course, I think he's already been there for a long, long time, but kind of his recognition by the entire Catholic Church as a holy, holy man. And so for me, it was incredibly important to find some way to attend that event. Now, of course, I had no clue going in exactly how I was going to attend this event, how I was going to get tickets, and I didn't know how it worked. And so I had the plan, like, oh, I'm going to stay in Rome, and then I'm going to go there. But I had no clue if I was even going to be able to get in. Thankfully for me, look, I would never have known this on my own, but a big, huge shout out of appreciation to Monsignor Fucinaro, who is not our chaplain on Deus Sancti, but he is a major figure. I think is the best way to put it, a major figure in the faith life of the campus. He was holding on Mondays. They would hold what we call Dead Theologian Society, where we would gather around and ask and converse about faith and topics related to faith. And during that, I don't know what motivated me to open my mouth. I'm just going to chalk it up to the Holy Spirit. It motivated me to, I don't know what motivated me to open my mouth and speak, but I spoke and I mentioned Saint Oscar Romero and his impact on my life, my parents' lives, El Salvador's as a country. And he actually asked me, hey, so do you want to go to the canonization? I said, oh my God, of course. I've just been kind of winging it because I have no clue exactly how to get in. He's like, I'll get you some tickets for you. Because Monsignor Fucinaro works at the Vatican. I forget which office directly, but I was stunned. I didn't even know I needed tickets. But he got them for me. And I went the Saturday after classes had ended. I stopped by the Vatican and the offices where he worked, and gave me the envelope, gave me the tickets. To this day, I don't have them currently where I am in my new apartment, but I have them stashed. I have them stored away in a box in my dresser in my room at home, and just as kind of a reminder of those tickets. I have those tickets still of that incredible event. Now, I have wasted around 10 minutes just talking about it without even actually getting to the topic, which is 10-day. But I just wanted to be clear that this was this was already going to be a big part of my 10-day. I was going to have to work my schedule, my travel schedule, anything that I wanted to do around this event. Like, because this was a given. I'm going to this. I don't know how, but I'm going to this. And so that kind of threw a little bit of a wrench in my planning for 10-day. Because everybody usually is just very eager to start 10-day once it is right around the corner. Classes end early that Friday, around 11 in the morning, and people had flights and trains leaving like 1 p.m., 3 p.m. Like, everybody was getting off campus. All the getting was good. And so, for me, I had this event that I am going to, and it's here in Rome. I didn't want to have to convince a group of my friends to stick around for a weekend in Rome when they could be out traveling and experiencing the rest of Europe. Because, we've been in Rome. We live there. We live there. Like, why would we want to stay there? And, considering I only had tickets for myself, I didn't have any other tickets for anybody else. I wanted, I didn't want to hassle anybody into being like, you gotta stay here in Rome with me. And so what ended up happening is my friend Luke, shout out to Luke out there, Luke Pelletier, shout out to Luke Pelletier. I talked to him before we left, and I ended up agreeing to kind of meet his group in Krakow, Poland, that Monday. Yeah, that Monday. I would depart kind of from Rome Sunday evening. I'd take an overnight train to Vienna. From Vienna, I would work my way through a series of buses and trains across the Czech Republic, and then to Poland. So I ended up spending that first weekend on my own, and I think it was one of the most genuine weekends that I've spent in Rome the whole time. I think that Friday, when the classes ended, we had, I believe we had until 12 p.m. or so on Saturday to get off the campus. And so what I did is I booked a one bedroom, or just kind of I'm gonna call it an alcove because the room was tiny, but room in a hostel close by to St. Peter's Square, because I might have been able to find something cheaper somewhere else, but I made sure to book close by to St. Peter's Square, so I didn't have to go too far to reach the canonization mass. And from there, that just kind of became a hub of operations for the weekend. So I checked into my hostel at about 12. The guy, I still remember him, spoke really good English, super friendly. He gave me the keys, kind of left me to my own. And I was like, well, what to do next, And so what I did is I ended up spending that day. I ended up spending that day just kind of walking around Rome, taking it all in. I didn't talk to a lot of people, obviously, because I don't speak Italian. I tried. Ciao bella to everybody out there. That means hi, you beautiful people. But it was surreal to me to just have this kind of freedom to go and do and whatever I wanted. Obviously within reason. Just accessible to me, like the train system that Rome has. Public train system Rome has is very good for getting places, genuinely. And also, Europe is much older than the United States. The United States has been built to accommodate. Of course, its size is huge, but it's the public transportation systems here are nothing compared to the cities in Europe. They depend much more on that, and walking and getting places and stuff like that is much more prevalent. It's things are within walking distance, more or less. And if they're not within walking distance, you feel comfortable walking there. Not like you have to take a taxi. So you can take the train for the big kind of, if you want to jump from one side of the city to another, you can do that. And so I took everything in, right? I went around, I walked around, I stopped for food, obviously. Big pizza guy, so being in Italy was a fantastic thing. Great pizza. I stopped for gelato, And then I was kind of like a little bit of a loss as to what I really wanted to do. I was like, well, what can I do at this point? And so I walked around. I kind of stopped into a couple of churches that were open. You know, I did some praying and kind of an anticipation for tomorrow's event. And then finally, I was like, you know what? I have not seen a movie in a theater for a long time. And there is a very good movie called Venom out right now. And I want to watch it. And so what I searched on my phone. I was like, I wanted to know whether these movie theaters would have just subtitles in English or anything like that in for their movies if you wanted to go watch a movie in English, or that they would have dubs of the feature films that they would import in English and be able to put it on in the theater. And let me just say, the Google results were inconclusive. I had absolutely no clue where to go for a dubbed movie in English. And so I was just like, you know what? I speak Spanish. Italian is another Romance language and has the same roots. I can kind of get it, perhaps. No, even if I do watch it in Italian, I mean, it's a movie. Everything's playing out on the screen. You don't really need to understand all that much about what people are saying. You can kind of just watch the action and kind of figure out what's going on. Of course, they're good actors in that movie specifically. And so what I did is I walked to the nearest movie theater that I could find, cinema, as they're called in Europe, and I bought a ticket to see Venom. Now let me tell you guys, it was the most confusing experience of my life. It was so confusing to walk into a movie theater as somebody had never seen a movie in any other language in a theater besides English, and get in there and hear the movie in Italian. You know, Tom Hardy starred in that movie. I know Tom Hardy doesn't speak Italian. I know that voice actor that dubbed the movie in Italian. Very good voice, actually. Very good voice. But suffice to say, I mean, I didn't get any of that. But I thought it was funny. I was like, you know what? This is the kind of things that you can do when you're in Rome. These kind of experiences you can have. These kind of fun experiences you can look back on and like, that was funny. That was funny. Look at the hijinks I got myself into there. And I wish I could tell you all that I watched the entire movie and I tried to figure everything out, but no, I fell asleep like 1 hour into the movie. It was... I'm not gonna say Venom was a bad movie, because there might be people that think it's a really good movie, but at least for me, I didn't. Once combined with that, I didn't understand what anybody was saying on the screen. It was not the most highly engaging of movies, in my opinion, at least. Not even in my opinion. To me, it wasn't very highly engaging. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was super funny when I walked out of the theater. I laughed at myself almost the entire way. I was just like, man, that's so funny. I had no clue what was going on there. Suffice to say that canonization masses are a big deal. Many people go to them. And so it's in your best interest to get up early and go and be in, well, maybe not in line. I think it is a line, actually. Well, no, here's the deal. So you get into St. Peter's Square with your ticket, and then you stand kind of in like this entryway. Like there's a line in the entryway to get in, and then you go and you find your seats. Now, of course, I'm there by myself. I have nobody that I know, And I'm skipping a little bit ahead in the story. So I went to bed, and I had planned to get up like super early. The canonization mass, I think, was set for 9 in the morning. And I was planning to get up at 6 and be there early to kind of get maybe not the best seats, because I'm competing with like 100,000 people, but good seats, good seats. That didn't happen. That did not happen. I have to be honest with you guys. I slept through my alarm. I woke up. It wasn't even really that bad. 7:30, right? I showered and stuff. So by the time I was ready to leave, I had like the 20-minute walk to St. Peter's, and I was getting there about 45 minutes before the event. So it wasn't terrible, but I mean, I was, not as early as I wanted to be. So there it is. I get to St. Peter's Square, right? I get to St. Peter's Square. I have my ticket out. I walk in, and I'm just kind of standing in line. I'm just kind of figuring out, like, so how is this going to go, Because I've never been to a canonization mass before. I certainly haven't talked to anybody that has. And so when I got there and I got in, I was waiting in line. Everybody's speaking some sort of language that I don't understand. Italian, German. There were a couple German saints that day. Just from all over the world, which was in itself just a fantastic experience to see. So many people just showing up for a common celebration. It doesn't matter your language or your nationality, anything like that. You're there to celebrate the lives of these holy people, and just that was incredible. And I was just standing in line, and I realized that I was standing behind two what looked like priests. I mean, they had their their cassocks and their collars and everything, and I was kind of looking at that. I was looking at them. I was like, I wonder because I knew that there were seminarians from North America, specifically the United States, that studied at North American College in Rome. We had four seminarians that would come in and would talk to us about things. They would also organize events like visiting holy places in Rome. They would organize those events and take us there and give us like tours and stuff, which was super generous of them. I mean, they're already studying for the priesthood, but now they're coming out here, a bunch of dumb college kids, and they're giving them tours of holy places. I mean, just incredible. I love those guys. And so I was sitting there. I was like, I wonder. And then I realized that they were speaking English, that I could understand them. And so what I did is I went ahead and I heard, actually in passing, one of them mention the University of Dallas. And I mean, I took my shot right there. I mean, if they're going to mention UD, I got to say something. And so I let my Texas come out, and my Texas were all like, where are y'all from? Where are y'all from? And they turn around, and you're going to have to forgive me. I don't even know if they're ever going to listen to this podcast. But you're going to have to forgive me for the other seminarian that I forgot his name. But one of them I do remember very clearly, and that is Alex Fry. Introduced himself, and I was like, well, how do y'all know about the University of Dallas? And they were like, well, we studied there. As you do. Just running into... I want y'all to think about that for a second right there. I am in a space with 100,000 people from all... It is probably harder. It's definitely easier to find somebody who I can't converse with in any language than it is to find somebody that is an English-speaking seminarian that went to the University of Dallas. I mean, coincidences of coincidences. God works in mysterious ways. Only He knows why those seminarians were in front of me in that line. Well, actually, I think I know why they're in front of me in that line, because I needed some friends. I was kind of lonely, just all on my own. And I went, and they were like, well, we have some of our buddies. We have some of our seminarian buddies. They're saving us, like, seats, a row of seats for us. You want to sit with us? And now, of course I said yes. This is what I want you to understand that, first of all. I did say yes. But in the back of my head, I thought, it's a little bit strange for me. I'm sitting here in my, like, navy blue polo that I'm wearing, to, like, this entire row just full of seminarians. Cassock, polo? Cassock. I mean, it's just the optics of it. I was just like, that seems a little bit weird. And I looked up to the sky, and I was like, God, I hope you're not saying something by having me sit with these seminarians. And we had this is kind of a dumb joke there, but we had seats by if you've ever seen a picture of St. Peter's Square, there is a huge obelisk in the middle of it, and we had seats about 30 to so feet away from it. Our row was about 30 feet away from it. We were more or less next to the obelisk, and that's kind of in the middle of St. Peter's Square, so I didn't have like front row seats. I couldn't see the Pope from my own eyes. I had to watch him on the screen from where I was, but like, suffice to say, they got some good sound systems at the Vatican, because sound carried. And so it felt like a good mass, right? And I still have the video to this day as we sat down in that, as we found their buddies in a row, and I sat with them, and everybody, they were chatting among themselves. I kind of took a moment to take all in everything that I was experiencing, because what hit me the most is that I might be blessed to have the opportunity to attend another canonization in my life. God knows, I don't know what my future holds. But I will never have the opportunity to experience the canonization of somebody that my parents personally heard, saw, and admired. I will never, in many ways, St. Oscar Romero to me felt like family, because I heard about him and I knew so much about him. It's like seeing your best friend go up for an award. Now, I wouldn't say that St. Oscar Romero was my best friend, but in the same way that somebody that I admired highly, kind of like seeing a very good friend of yours get an award that they've been working for a long time. Because suffice to say, St. Oscar Romero's case ran into a lot of roadblocks. People were concerned that he might have links to liberation theology, this kind of Marxist twisting of the gospel, that's really very heavy on social justice, and not as suffice that I don't really know a lot about liberation theology. All I know is that it's not looked upon as a good thing in the general church. There were questions of whether his death was religiously motivated or politically motivated, which to me I thought were stupid questions in the first place. I mean, the guy was shot celebrating Mass. I think that shows that they hated what he stood for. They hated what he said, and they hated what he stood for, which was the Catholic Church. So many things that my parents would read these news and they would kind of get a little bit disappointed when they came out, and it's like, oh, it might take more longer. It occurred to me that, they were getting to see somebody that they saw live as a saint be canonized as an actual saint. And I, as their son, was kind of their representative, their link, from thousands and thousands of miles away, being there, present at it. So the enormity of the moment was not lost on me. I took and not only the significance for me personally of the canonization, but just in general. As looking around, I saw flags of every color, every stripe. Just, I want to make something very, very clear. I don't know what the country of Chile, their stake was in this canonization, but some people made the trip out from Chile. You know where Chile is? Chile is the long strip on the western coast of South America, excuse me. And they have flown all the way from there to Rome to the Vatican. That's incredible. I mean, just think about that. That is incredible. German flags, French flags, flags from the Philippines, from Australia. And the Italians were out in force. Let me tell you, the Italians were also out in force, because Paul VI was Italian, by heritage, that they were out in force. Italian flags were everywhere. But I think, and to me, what was most poignant was just the utter absurdity of the amount of Salvadorian flags that existed in that space. I say absurdity because they were everywhere. Legitimately everywhere. I've made this joke when I've told this story a lot, is that I don't think I've ever been in a place where thousands and thousands of people could end up being my cousins, and I didn't even know about it. But, to me, just El Salvador is one of the poorest countries in Central America. Whenever I go there, I'm just struck by the amount of things that we have that they, would never have ever thought of. Of course, there are modern things like cell phones and things, but, internet is so much different. And the only reason that my mom's family can have internet is because my mom and dad, help support them. That extra money, they can't pay for internet on their own. Sometimes they can't even get food on their own. There's a poor country, one of the poorest in the world, and people have, I would imagine, have saved up for this trip from the day they could start working. And they have spent all of that money to come here and see their countrymen be enshrined as a saint, or not enshrined, canonized as a saint. In a small way, it's not just a recognition of what St. Oscar Romero did for the world, but a recognition of El Salvador as a country that can produce a saint, which right now, I think a lot of people think that that country is good for nothing. But I digress. Back to the story of the event. So we got there, I sat in the row with the whole row of seminarians. The canonization mass was just incredible. Just once in a lifetime experience in that sense. Seeing all these people there, celebrating mass together in Latin, the language of the church. Seeing Pope Francis, hearing the canonization, right in Latin, reading it off a little booklet, which I still have saved as well. And just looking around and just seeing all these people, all of these Catholics who are just so ready, so faithful. To me, it spoke not only to the enormity of the event, but to the enormity of the Catholic Church, that all of these countries and places and creeds had a stake in something here, which was the Eucharist, the sacrifice of Christ on the cross. And it was striking to me to see, because when you're in the United States, or when you're in El Salvador, or when you're in any country, you look around and you think of your people, right? It's like people around you is like, oh, these people, Jesus died for them, because it's where you are. You can't really comprehend how big the world is from sitting in in an apartment in Dallas. But I was kind of able to see just how big the world is in that sense, with so many people from different parts of the world and present in that one event, that the statement Jesus died for these people took on a much greater significance in my head than it ever had before. Because it meant that Jesus died for not only these Italians, but for these French, for these German people, for these people from the Philippines, for these people from Chile who I still don't know what they were doing in the Vatican. People from Africa were there, people from Asia, people from, of course, my seminarian friends, which I can call them friends now because we got to be pretty good friends. My seminarian friends from the United States. Jesus died for all of these people. Jesus died to save the world. I understood that in that moment way better than I ever had before. But yeah, so canonization mass, incredible, right? Once lifetime experience. Travel to Krakow after the canonization mass was not as incredible. I will be very honest. That was the high point of my entire 10-day. No disrespect to my travel group or anything like that. But I mean, it's kind of hard to beat a canonization mass for incredibleness or awesomeness. My travel group was fun. But canonization mass, just can't compete with that. But it's just travel. Oh my goodness. After the canonization mass, I had a train. My overnight train to Vienna left at 6, but I had to check out of my hostel by 12 that day. And so I rushed back to my hostel. I left all my things kind of packed in my bag, and I got ready to go. I checked out, and now I'm literally lugging a suitcase around Rome, just as is. I'm sure it's not foreign or silly to them. They probably see that all the time. I was just kind of lugging my suitcase all around Rome, and I was just trying to figure out what to do from here, you know? What am I going to do in these 6 hours? Oh, what I ended up doing is just, again, not much. I went and got lunch at this little restaurant. It was just another pizzeria. Just went there, and then I didn't see personally much of a reason to kind of just play with my time. I guess I don't really know how I'm saying it, but just I didn't want to waste time getting to the train station and being there. I wanted to get there, and I was just like, I'm sure there's a lot more to do in Rome if I put my mind to it, but I want to be on time for my train, even if that means being there 4 hours early. And so I went down to the train station, just chilled in the lobby, after I got in, and then I got on my train. And again, this is the things that you experience in Rome, but you don't experience anywhere else. I got on my train, right? And these overnight trains, they're like, there's a small cabin, right? It can fit got about seats for 4 people. And so I am hoping and praying that not a lot of other people want to go to Vienna on this overnight train. And I was just like, please, just leave me to myself. Holy Spirit again interceding for me said, you know what? You need some friends. And what did I get? I got 2, of all people, I didn't get Italians, I didn't get Europeans. What I got as passengers that were sitting in the same car, as the same cubicle or space as me, this overnight trip, were 2 Indian guys who actually spoke really good English, and so we could have conversations, which was good. I remember just talking to them about many things, and they were sharing parts of their code, parts of their upbringing, why they were in Europe and stuff like that. I was kind of sharing kind of my little story and things like that, and it was very overall a very positive experience to kind of just interact with these kind of strangers for the rest of that night before we went to bed. And so we get to Vienna. We get to Vienna. Train goes overnight, and so we get to Vienna at around 8 in the morning. These guys, we say our goodbyes. They go their separate ways. So now what I need to do is I need to find my bus. No, not my bus. Actually, that's wrong. I need to define the train that I was taking to the Czech Republic. And of course, Vienna. Also, I don't speak German. I don't understand German at all, or Austrian. I don't even know which one they speak in Austria to this day. I'm still a little unclear. And so, but thankfully, of course, people speak pretty good English there. And my train from Austria to the Czech Republic was about another, let's see. So the bus ride was about an hour and a half from Krakow, from the Czech Republic to Krakow. It took it wasn't one train ride specifically to this town where I was going to catch a bus to Krakow. It was a series of trains that I had to get off at a stop, jump on the next train. And it was about 6 hours of that travel. Oh my goodness, it was the adrenaline that it takes to travel in that type of way is just, you're on alert, especially when you can't speak the language, you can't understand the signs all that well, and you're just kind of relying on the internet to help you. You're all by yourself, you're trying to get to this specific place. It was the most kind of zoned in that I've been. Every moment I was alert. I was ready to go. And something might have had to do with that. It was just the obscene amount of coffee that I drank to stay awake. And so I made it to the little town. This is a little town. I can't remember its name. In the Czech Republic. It's about, let's see. It's about an hour and a half away from Krakow. but it's a small town. This isn't a big city. And so you get there, right? And now you're at these. Basically, I'm just at the train station. It's a tiny little town. There's a train station there. That's where you stop. That's where you're waiting for that bus to come and get you and take you to Krakow in Poland. And at that train station, I had probably the best pizza that I had in Rome during the Rome semester. At any point in that tiny town in the Czech Republic, in this little back, like this, they had in the train station, right? There's a lobby where people are waiting for their trains, and then you kind of you walk out these doors, you take like a right, and there's like a little kitchen there selling like food. Now, of course, I don't speak Czech, don't understand Czech, can't read it. Thank God for pictures. Had a picture of some pizza and a Pepsi on the wall, and I pointed at it and I said, that's what I want. And the pizza that came out was fantastic. Literally amazing. I don't know why, don't know how these guys in this tiny little town in the Czech Republic are making this incredible pizza, but they were. And so, in preparation, of course, for my little bus ride, and then the way the bus works is that there's little stop that if you are not paying complete and total attention to where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do, you would miss that bus. Because I almost missed that bus. I just could not find the stop on my ticket. And I was looking around and I was like, well, what do I do? Where is this bus pick me up? And so I rolled the dice and I was like, I really hope these people speak English. Rolled the dice. And and thankfully this woman spoke the most broken English that I have ever heard in my life, but she was able to direct me to this little bench outside to the right of the train station where the bus picked people up. Don't know why it's set up that way, but it is. And it was the most frustrating thing to me because I'd actually gone outside and I was like, well, I guess I have to walk to this bus stop, or I'll see like the building where I'm supposed to go. And there was nothing. It's just an entrance into like the town. I was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. And I had turned and I had seen that bench, but I had never thought that bench is where people were picked up by this bus. And it's swallowed my frustration, went and sat on that bench for another hour or so waiting for my bus to get there, and my bus got there. It was strange though. It was really strange. Like the conductor got off and he was like, guys, like I assume he said in Czech or something that he had to take a half-hour break because he just walked off after he said like his piece into the train station, didn't come out for another half hour. Don't know what that was about. I was confused because I was like, thought you had to keep a schedule, dude. Like I'm sitting here and this is the time that it says on my ticket that you are going to take me to this city, but now you're like, I guess you're piecing out for some cigarettes. I don't know, like Thankfully, it was just I thought that he's like take a break. He just went inside. I guess he used the bathroom or something. Came right back out, started checking everybody's bags, and no problems, thankfully. And I was on that bus, right? And this is just the time now is about 4 o'clock or so. That it was about 4 o'clock when I got on my bus to go to Krakow, and there's another like hour and a half to 2 hours of a trip. So now I've been traveling for 24 hours from the moment that train left Rome at 6, got to Vienna, and now I've been traveling the entire day. To get to Krakow, to get to this spot, right? And I am fatigued beyond belief. I am so tired. So tired of this, just obscene amount of traveling that I did. And look, I'm sure that there was an easier way to get to Krakow, but this was I thought I was going to take the scenic route. I thought this was the scenic route, and at the end of the day, as tired as I was by the end of the day, I look back and I'm just like, you know what? It might not have been the most fun during the time that I was traveling, but I can remember like snippets and things of like, cities and towns that I saw along the way that I never would have seen if I had just grabbed a plane. So I'm pretty thankful for that experience. So the bus, back to the story, of course. I get on the bus drives about 2 hours or so, gets to Krakow. Krakow, it's already dark by the time I get there, like pitch black night. Of course, this is October in the fall, so daylight is extended less and less into the night. I get there around 7 o'clock or so, and I get there, it's about 7 o'clock or so, it's pitch black. I, of course, new city, no clue where I'm going, Google Maps on my phone, and I text my friends to like where the address is, where am I gonna go, where am I gonna meet you guys. And it turns out actually they had been the whole day there. My friends had been there the whole day. They had done their stuff, and they, as it is, college students, night, want to go out, right? It's fun. You want to have some fun. Of course, and I don't want, don't get this misconstrued. This is me, not me blaming my friends for going out at night, because I had taken an eternity to get there. I had thought I was going to get there at about 4 or so, but the travel time was extended by a lot more than I thought it did, and so my friends had every right to go out. I'm not bashing them, at all for that. But I got there, right, and I texted my friend Patrick and my friend Kateri, and I was like, okay, so what's the address for the Airbnb, for the place that we're staying? And they gave me the address, and it turns out, of course, in Europe, Uber and ride-sharing services are mostly not, actually they're not accessible, and so you have to walk anywhere. You have to walk mostly everywhere, and mercy of mercy, this place is 30 minutes away from the bus stop where I've been dropped off. And I just I sighed, and I looked up at the sky, and I was like, God, you are testing me with this travel time and all this stuff, but it's I gotta get there, right? And I followed Google Maps, this kind of walking directions. I got there, and it just ends up being this block, right? The apartment actually ended up being very nice once I got into it, but there's just a block, right? And I am just there. I'm confused. I'm like, where is this place? And they were like, hold on, we're coming, we have the keys. We're gonna come let you in, you can let your stuff out, put your stuff down, and then you can come back out with us. And oh my goodness. Just think of that for a second. I mean, my friends were, of course, best intentions. They want to share, they don't want me to miss out on the night or anything like that. But I had just been traveling for 24 hours. You tried sleeping in an overnight train before? Let me tell you something. It's not sleeping. It is not sleeping. It is this state where you are not asleep, but you're half conscious, and it's every little jolt, every stop wakes you up. Nothing, you don't get a good night's sleep on a train. And so I'm exhausted. I've put myself full of espresso this entire day to make sure that I don't fall asleep on a train and end up in Hungary or something. I have just spent this entire day traveling. The last thing that I want to do is go out. But I'm just at the end of the day, look, this is another kind of small point that I may or may not have made at the beginning of this episode, but Luke was my only one really good friend in that travel group. Luke was traveling with kind of this other friend group that I was actually really not a part of up until Rome, and so I was not personally acquainted with a lot of the people that I was going to be traveling with, which made for an interesting experience on its own, which, as I see here, I'm coming up about 50 minutes on the episode, so I will save the rest of 10 Day for episode 2, but that's kind of the last point that I want to make, is that, I was going into this not really knowing my travel group or anything like that, and I was just kind of there, at least in my kind of understanding of it. They could not have, obviously, big kudos to them. Big kudos to my friends Patrick, Josephine, Kateri, Caroline. I'm not missing anybody else. Luke and I were the last 2 members of that group. And shout out to Alex and Reed. Alex and Reed joined us here and there because they had forgotten to book hotel rooms, and so they ended up staying in ours, which, another story entirely. But we got they did a really good job of making me feel included when I was kind of scared that I would just kind of be along as a passenger, and that it would not be an enjoyable experience. It ended up being one of the most enjoyable experiences of my own semester. I have memories to this day of all of the things that happened, and just, we might not be the best of friends. We might not be, besties doing everything together nowadays, but we will always have as a shared experience that 10-day trip that we had. And for that, I am 100%, I'm supremely thankful to God that I was put into that group. That it accepted me, that it let me stay with them. They let me stay with them, and just experience kind of this 10-day with them and ride together like that. But plaudits to them aside, I was scared. Of course, I was going in there a little bit scared that I wasn't going to be able to kind of really get to know people. And as tired as I was from traveling the entire day, I knew that this was a really good chance for me to get to know people a lot better. And a lot of people had been following a similar route to the one that my travel group had planned out. And so there were a lot of people from UD actually in Krakow that day. So it was I can see people. I can see people that I haven't seen for 3 or 4 days. I can see my friends and just kind of share with them and have a good time. So this was all going through my head as I'm waiting for my friends to get there to unlock the Airbnb. I get there, they get there, say hi to everybody, put my stuff up, and then we go back out. And the night in Krakow, it was. I'm not gonna say that it was memorable for me. It was just kind of another run-of-the-mill night, going out to the bars, having fun, talking to people. At least I personally didn't drink, but just being there and experiencing it, sharing that experience with so many of my peers was just incredible to me. But I have used up 50 odd minutes of your time to tell this fun little story that I had that I wanted to share with everybody, and I didn't ever really get to the point or the lessons that I learned. So I think, to sum it up, what I wanted to say kind of here at the end of this episode is that, at least for the first part of my 10-day, the 3 days that I spent in Rome and this 1 day that I spent traveling, ended up near in Krakow, I think the memories and lessons that I take away from that time is that, the world is a big place. There are so many people in this world that are different, but that we have something that unites us, at least for Catholics and for everybody in general, because Jesus died for everybody, regardless of belief, whether he did or not. He died for you. We share that in common as a human race. We're saved people. And so coming to worship the Savior together was, for me, one of the biggest moments of faith growth that I have had in my life, because it reminded me that the church spreads across the world, and that it is not an American church, it is not a Canadian church, it is not a Salvadorian church, it is not an Italian church, a French church, a German church. There are churches in all of these countries, but all of those churches are the Catholic Church. And Christ is present in each and every one of them. That, for me, it made faith not just this personal journey that one takes to believe in Jesus and be saved, but an incredible experience that we share with the world. Thanks again for listening to the Catholic Podcast. Part 2 of 10 Day. Episode 2 of Germories will be out in the coming weeks. Appreciate you guys. God bless.